I function as a channel through which music emerges from the chaos of noise. You can find these words on the booklet of the album Direct by Vangelis. God. Vangelis is dead. He died last Tuesday, and I'm pretty sad about that. He was 79 years old. Vangelis, for myself, is the main reference for music, for making music, and even for art. Actually, he was also a painter, though I don't know anything or pretty much anything about his works on painting. But Vangelis was a true artist. And that's it. He has been, and he will always be the main reference for me. He made, believe it or not, he made all kind of music. He made a lot of popular music, even quirky music just to make money with it. And he made extremely wonderful music, high quality music. He's the god of electronics. And he said he didn't know how to read a single note. I don't know if that's true. I think he had a pretty well-known notion of chords. Her mother was a pianist, and he had a he didn't have formal piano lessons, but he learned a lot of piano, and he was a virtuoso keyboardist. I mean, amazing. My purpose while displaying this video on the internet, that probably no one will see, is just to give my very small input for the, how can I say that, for the immense wisdom and wonderfulness of Vangelis' musical work. I'll try to be brief on this. So, as I said on that quote, that I will quote it again, and he says, I function as a channel through which music emerges from the chaos of noise. That was precisely what he did. The thing with the music of Vangelis, and he says that plenty often, is that all his music was total improvisation. Probably not totally, but we can say it is. I mean, he just had an idea or no idea at all, and he started playing it, and all what he wanted to do with all the technology he developed and selected for himself was to have access for all the palette of sounds possible, and for all the tools to create new sounds and innovation sounds, and to have the possibility of having all that available immediately on the point of his fingers. And somehow he managed to do so. And I must say that no one makes music like this. I mean, all the electronic music you listen to now, and you've been listening to, is music that somehow is pretty much edited and with effects added and all that. Of course, there was edition and mixing in his music, but he kind of reduced that to a minimum. And what he had is that he played, and then there are videos showing this. He played whatever he wanted, and he had his sound engineer working it with him at the same time. So, of course, there are works in which there are several recordings layered over each other, but mostly what he wanted to do was to have everything done immediately in one take. Artists that worked with him were amazed by the immediacy of the process and loved working with him. You can also see that on the internet. So what he wanted to do, you can find this a bit of this attitude on Keith Jarrett on the piano alone, right? But this is it. What he wanted to do, for him, the high level of creation was like there was no in between, no intermediary between the idea or whatever it comes and the making of it, the concrete, to make it concrete of it. Just setting the intermediate out. So that's why he says he functions as a channel. So the chaos of noise, as he called it, comes to him and music comes out. There are a lot of imitators of mimicists, whatever you call it, of Vangelis. I think I myself try to be one of them. And I don't know, this was a unique. Well, his value is not only for this process, obviously. I mean, he could do this and the music being horrific, like terrible. But no, his music was wonderful. And that's the thing, I mean, no matter how it is done, his music could be all perfect composition with all the notes put on it. And there are a lot of musicians I love which are composers, right? Who write down the notes, and I also try to do that. So, of course, the beauty is in his music, but I think it is very important, this idea of immediacy, of capturing, feeling it, and displaying it immediately with all the palette of colors that exists. So I'm now giving you a few examples of the albums. I'm not going to play them. I'm only going to show the covers. So if you want to acquire them or listening to them on the internet, you can have this video as some little reference. So one of his classics on the 70s, imagine. I mean, this is a long time. This is from the year I was born, or even before, 1 year before. This is Albedo 0.39. Which albedo is the reflection of the light on a body. So albedo 0.39 is the value, 39% of the light the planet Earth reflects, light from the sun in this case. So, and in this album you have classics like Pool Star and Sort of Orion and Alpha, which are real classics. And there's also Albedo 0.39, which were classics that you heard them playing on the TV, like as soundtracks for the news and reportings and whatnot. People used a lot of this on the 80s and 70s. This album, when I found it, I felt so happy when I was an adolescent, because this is the guy who made this music I heard on TV, and because with him, I mean, I always paid some attention to noise and sound and music. So, and precisely when I saw reportings on TV, and I was listening to the soundtrack. So for me, it was amazing discovering familiar soundtracks on Vangelis. Like all of them, the ones I liked, they were all from Vangelis. So, I mean, that was something incredible. And that's it. I mean, well, this is one. I mean, Albedo 0.39. It was. It says it was published on 1975, 1976. I was born on 1976. So, yeah, this album is kind of special to me. I mean, all of them are, but, this is one of them. You also have this is done like kind of in the same time, on the same period. It was a year before or something. This is one of the real classics, which is Heaven and Hell. Everyone knows about this one. I mean, when we think about the old Vangelis, or the young Vangelis, I mean, Heaven and Hell, which is like, it has only 2 tracks, but they're more than 20 years each one of them. 20 years, 20 minutes. And it has a song on it with John Anderson, which is, and this is the album where the music from Cosmos comes from, of the main titles of Cosmos. Actually, on Cosmos you have a lot of music from Heaven and Hell and from Albedo 0.39. So yeah, and this has this is music with choruses, a lot of percussion, and the sounds of Vangelis. I mean, it's amazing. Now you have the Spiral from 1977. He made a lot of albums on the 70s, ones after another. And this one you have classics like To the Unknown Man, which is a really sweet music. Spiral itself is also classic, and there's a music here which is Ballad, which is very sweet and funny and full of feeling. And it's a ballad, an electronic ballad made with, and it has samples of human voice, I guess. I think it's samples, just saying dee dee doo doo doo, and it's pretty sweet. Of course, you have China. A lot of there are a lot of famous music from Vangelis on this one. There's a debate about, because when the record came out on vinyl, the names of the tracks were different from the way they were listed on the CD. So the thing is with the two first tracks, there's Chunko and the Long March. So, and one famous music, people say it's called Chunko, or perhaps it is called the Long March, but it doesn't matter. The music is also a reference for Vangelis music, and also the one called the Tao of Love has been used a lot on TV also. And there's one I like a lot, which is called Himalaya, which is more than 10 minutes long. And you just see yourself climbing the Himalaya with the yaks and all that, yakis. And, I mean, what happens with Vangelis music is that each album has a particular soundscape, a particular palette. This is what I like more. Each album of Vangelis not only has this particular palette, and has its particular melodies and harmonies. So that is why I say he made all sorts of music, because everything. How can I explain this? There are different colors. I mean, in case you are synesthetic, I mean, in case you make associations with different sensorial experiences, you can really appreciate this, because on each album and musics you see particular sets of colors, textures, temperatures, smells, and they are all perfectly harmonized. There's a, like, they are beautiful settings for stories to happen. What Vangelis does with sounds is pure painting. And other musicians do this with the orchestra, right? Vangelis does this with the synthesizer. Actually, Vangelis called the orchestra the first synthesizer. And what he did with the electronics was to expand the acoustics, expand the timbre. I mean, he did not intend to imitate an orchestra. That for him was easy. He said this a lot. What he wanted was to expand sound itself, expand the vibration of sound, to make music with it. So Vangelis brought totally new colors to music, and this is an immense legacy. So how can I explain this? It's so, I mean, just listen to each of his albums, and you might, and to understand it, I mean, imagine you're you're reading a novel or watching a movie, but the image of a novel is more intense because you're creating while reading. So you will also be creating while listening to the music of Vangelis. Vangelis expands your artistic potential. He can make each one of you an artist. This is Opera Sauvage, and you have here more classics like Haim, which is very known music of Vangelis, L'Enfant, and the music Rêve. These are the three classics of this album, but all the musics, like on the other albums, are fantastic. And this album, this is an album for a series of documentaries about wildlife, which I have never seen, and I would really like to have seen them. And again, the textures and the tendership and in this music is I don't know, it just takes you somewhere, and the originality of it. You have here when the last music, which is called Flamand Rose. It's some sort of sweet epic. Actually, John Anders features on that music, just playing the harp. Yeah, then you have Chromatique. I mean, really, the sounds he creates. I don't know if he ever did, if he ever named the sounds he designed and created. I don't know. There's a video of him improvising in which he's drawing symbols of some kind, like shapes, and then he registers that shapes of waves in his electronic device, and then he starts playing them. So I think he had some sort of visual reference for the palettes of sounds he was using. I don't know. I have no idea. This is pure speculation, but yeah, he made all what every musician dreams of, which is like picking on the wave itself, on the sound itself, modeling it, and let his emotion just explode immediately and share that with everyone. Thousands of people are inspired by his immense work, and I am really sad about his death. I truly am. Now I'm going to show you some less known albums of him. There's this album, See You Later, which is an album with lots of lyrics and songs. I mean, it's only 6 tracks. This album, there's another, I don't know if you can see there, people with masks for chemicals on. Uh, on this album, you have tracks like "I Can't Take It Anymore," multi-track suggestion. I don't know. Oh, there's "Memories of Green," which featured on Blade Runner, which is a reference. You know, of course, you have the soundtrack of Blade Runner. So "Memories of Green" is from the album "See You Later," and there's the song "See You Later," which is a wonderful song, a wonderful, wonderful song. It's 10 minutes long, and it's an amazing, amazing song. With several languages, you have French and English. There's a song here which is "Suffocation," which have lyrics in Italian. And there's an ironic sound here, which is not a bit all of it, which has something like this: hysteria, insomnia, stress. Please give a better impression with clever use of cosmetics. So this is some sort of acid sweet Vangelis. This is also an album about pollution. It was made after some disaster that occurred in Europe on a factory of some kind, some chemical disaster. I don't know exactly what happened. Um, there's there's a Portuguese science fiction novel. I don't recall the name of it now. I think it's called the Net or something like that, which is about a very polluted environment. And when I heard this album, I always remember the ambience of that novel. Um, I don't know this album. Well, you can almost see you know all the electronic music you see there, and even some of the dance music even. Uh, this could be almost the precursor of it, but this is much much better with higher quality virtuosism and whatnot. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what more to say. Just listen see how gray. You must pay attention to the covers because somehow they might influence you on the landscape of it, and this is intentional. I think Vangelis himself paid close attention to the covers of his albums. I don't know. I'm not sure about this, but I think he did. And one thing that happened also is that, for instance, he didn't like to name his musics, to give them names, give them titles, and he didn't like to make albums. He wanted each music alone to be something, to have a value on its own. But nevertheless, I like his albums. I like the coherence of the landscape of each of his albums. So whether he liked them or not, I like them a lot. And how can I say this? Each album has a set of as a coherence on it, a coherence of colors, of landscapes. Each album of Vangelis is a whole universe. That's actually the main thing about that. Each album is a universe. more. This one is very funny. It's Soil Festivities. Imagine the title of it, Soil Festivities. This is an album about microbes. This is an album about the origin and the wonders of life. This is a cover of Microscopic Life. I once showed this cover to my dad. He's a medical doctor, and he said, "These guys are crazy. This is that." And what you can see, this is very funny because you have a lot of microbes here, and then the last picture is the rise of Earth seen from the moon. So there's a lot of thought in this. And again, the textures of the music are amazing. Here it is. This is one of the Vangelis album in which music have absolutely no title. They're called movements. So you have movement 1, movement 2, movement 3, movement 4, and movement 5. And that's it. So movement 1, you have him improvising, like as he always is, and he is improvising with the sound of a storm, like it's like 18 minutes long or something, or more than 20. I'm not sure yet. No, but like there's rain and thunder all over the music, and a single note pulsating like a flute. Actually, 2 notes. It's okay. Like it's the pulsation of life and time. Rain, thunder, and life is being created. It's as if you were listening to the emergence of life on planet Earth. And that's it. You just listen to the water and to the sounds, and you see life emerging from the earth, life emerging from water, from a water puddle, whatever. And what happens with the textures of the sound of this, it is all very fresh. You are always thinking of grass and water, and in the morning when you have those little drops of water, I don't recall now the name in English. In Portuguese you would call orvalho. I know it's an album about biology, about life, and it's amazing. And now you have the hardcore Vangelis. This is Beaubourg, like the name you have of the art center, the Georges Pompidou Art Center, which is in a neighborhood, in the district, the Beaubourg district in Paris. I've never been there. You have here, this is a year, a year. Look, it could be mine. And if you see the cover like this is like a cello arm, I guess. So what happens here, this is like, contemporary music. This is a contemporary classical music album made only with synthesizer. And actually it took me a while to get used to it and understand it, because it's difficult to listen to it. But when you learn how to listen to it and then you start to appreciate it. For a lot of people, this is plain noise and that's it. Like the man is crazy, he's a lunatic, and he's just grambling notes and sounds and whatever. But if you listen to it again and again, it's remarkable. So you will almost wonder, is this the same guy? Yes, it is, because you recognize this is Vangelis, pure Vangelis. And the textures here, it's like you're surrounded with blue, like it's like living inside a swimming pool. But you could breathe underwater, but you don't see the water, but it's like being inside a swimming pool, feeling the pressure of water, but as if the water wasn't there. But somehow the sound as, imagine the air pressure. Yeah, imagine the air pressure would be the same as the water pressure of a swimming pool. Yeah, something like that. Imagine that you're living in an atmosphere which is as dense as water. Yes, I think you could describe this like that. It's quite an experience. So finally, I mean, there are a lot more of Vangelis album, and I've shown here. I did not talk about the direct album. The direct album is also very famous, and it kind of describes precisely the how direct is the process of Vangelis creating his music. Like that thing of cutting down the intermediary, having the inspiration, improvising, and just deliver. So it has a lot of photos of him. You have him here playing the drums. So this is like a multi-track recording experience. You have him eating an apple between his keyboards on Nemo Studios. There he is listening to his music and making the mix of it. And of course he playing a lot of keyboards, a lot of black and white keys. So yeah. But the last album I would like to talk to you about was recorded for Deutsche Grammophon, and it's called Invisible Connections. It has only two themes. One is called Atom Blaster, and the other one is called Thermovision. This is very minimalistic and very like modern contemporary music. And for some, this could be like boring. And but for people who like to work on the textures of electronic waves, this is amazing. So this is almost probably an homage or an analogy. This is like the product of someone who is in awe with the sound wave and the electronic wave, of the electronic ways of modeling the wave of sound. And yeah, and you feel you like you see the cover. It's a couple, right, singing on Time of Vision, and they're touching each other with their hands, or probably not touching. Actually, they're not touching. They're apart in just temperature, so you have the invisible connection. So it's as if it could be some sort of sound escape of those invisible connections between people. This could be an interpretation of this album. So, as I told you, I could have shown a lot more. This is being a really long video, but I just felt the need of sharing, not also sharing, just talking about it, talking about this man, about his music, and telling about how sad I am, how sad I feel about his disappearing. A great artist is dead. He is under evaluated. I think people have no idea of the greatness of his genius. Absolutely someone I would like to have met. I have no idea about his character and how he was as a person, though other artists who have been with him, other musicians and all that, say wonderful things about him as a person. So, and I believe them. I mean, why would they lie? So yeah, listen to Vangelis. Listen to these and other albums of him. There are albums for every taste. I mean, there are albums for you to love, albums for you to hate, albums for you to hate. But in my case, I did not find those for a file. I love all of them. He is extremely eclectic, but on the same time, his signature was in all his work. I think his music, his work, is one of the greatest treasures of mankind. Actually, some of his music is now beyond the solar system with Voyager. He's and several others of other artists, but he's one of them. We just lost one of our brothers as human being, and he's on the same stature of Beethoven, Mozart, all those guys. Of Bach. This is this is the death of a monument. This is the burning of a library. This is the end of a creator of worlds, a creator of universes. A god is gone. Yeah, that's it. So listen to Vangelis, travel with the sound of Vangelis. Yeah, just have a listen to him. Thank you. Thank you, Vangelis. Thank you for your legacy. You were and you are my inspiration. You are the ground for me and thousands of others. So now you'll become part of the waves of the universe, as you describe it. You said the universe is music, is vibration of waves. So I wish you a wonderful journey now on your departure to the cosmos. I would really like to have met you, my friend. Take care.